Oh gosh, so I guess we're doing this again. I am so happy to bring the Joy podcast back. And a little bit of a story, if you haven't listened to it before. I did a couple of episodes last summer where I was interviewing amazing people. Um, and then I realized that my ADHD didn't have time for that. And that the editing and questions and the whole format of interviewing people and stuff I just yeah my brain just didn't want a brain with that, and it just kind of stopped. um but I realized that I still have a lot to say. So I am currently recording this just because I can, and just because I hope it's helpful. So this has turned into a bit of a solo thing where I share shit that I know about, and I swear. um And we'll go from there basically. So, um, first video, something that I harp on a lot about is confidence. So I want to speak to people about confidence today because if I think about clients that I've worked with or just, friends, like when we talk about, mental health and our mindset and what we want out of life, it all comes back to this idea that we need more confidence. But like actually, were we ever taught in school what the fuck confidence is? So if I think when I was younger, I don't know about you, but to me, confident people were super, super brave. They weren't scared of anything. They would just throw themselves at stuff. They truly believed that they could really do anything. And usually, for me, a confident person was really good at something anyways. So if somebody was really good at something, I'd be like, oh, they must be super confident. And obviously then found out years later that that's not how it works. There's plenty of sports personalities, celebrities, extremely talented people in different industries who would actually say, yeah, I might be good at it, but it doesn't mean that I'm confident. And over my time as a life coach, I've sometimes found that there's things that people have told me about themselves that they're really, really good at, and yet they take it for granted. So they're telling me about, I don't know, maybe they're an amazing cook or they're a really good runner or something. And I'm like, oh wow, I'd love to be good at those things. And they're just kind of like, oh yeah, that's just part of me. They don't realize that actually those things make up the confident part of who they are. And a massive thing that I've learned, especially over the last couple of years about confidence, is that you can grow it. I think we have this thing that people must just be naturally confident. And maybe there are people out there who are naturally confident, but I also think you can absolutely grow your confidence. What I also know to be true is that confident people do get scared and they are brave. But actually, if we think about the word bravery, maybe it means that you're doing something even though you are scared. In fact, I think it probably does. Confident people do things even though they know they might fail. Confident people take risks even though they can't guarantee the outcome. So they become human, just like anyone really. But the main part of what I wanted to share today on confidence is a kind of analogy, I guess, that I shared at a speaking event that I did last year, around how I think we need to imagine confidence or think of it. And it was this. I want you to think about when you were little, and you were learning to ride a bike. And I always use the bike analogy because I'm kind of hoping that most people know how to ride a bike. And I'm really, really sorry if you don't. So just go with me on this. But when you were little, you were bought a bike, maybe for a birthday or something. I received my first bike at Christmas, and I'll actually never forget going downstairs and walking into the living room and being like, oh my God, I have a bike. I don't know how old I was. I'm gonna say maybe like 7 or 8. And the kind of start of my childhood, we didn't have a lot of money, so I definitely wasn't expecting a bike. But yeah, I got one and my sister got one, and that's a childhood memory that I don't think I'll ever forget. Santa, thanks, Mum. Santa put some bikes under the Christmas tree. Um, Anyways, so you're a little girl, you have your first bike. Now, up until this point, maybe you've played around on a neighbour's, or maybe it was just that your parents decided that it was time for you to learn to ride a bike. At this point, you could not confidently ride a bike. It's in front of you. You're looking at it. Maybe it's got sparkly handlebars and maybe you've got a helmet to match, or maybe it's got some, I don't know, Barbie paneling on it or something like that. But you're not confident that you can ride that bike. So it starts very small. You begin by just stepping your leg through and kind of standing and holding the handlebars. And then you know that you can confidently do that. You've got that stance. And then maybe you sit down on it and okay, that doesn't feel too bad. And for me, it's still in the living room. I'm just stood in the living room on my new bike. Um, and then maybe you take it outside, either into the back garden, or I think ours was like the road in front of my house. And you've probably got stabilizers. And maybe you put one foot on the pedal and you're like, oh, okay, okay, I can do that. That's fine. And then maybe you put the other foot on the pedal. And if you've got stabilizers, now you're just kind of learning how to trust those stabilizers, trust yourself, trust that balance. And maybe a parent or a guardian or an older sibling has their hand on your back. Um, but it's okay. You've got this, and you've got your helmet on, and it's strapped on tight. And then maybe you push off, and you now know that you can confidently sit on a bike with both feet on the pedals, and you can push off. And maybe then you go a few meters. And then after a while of practicing, you tell the person maybe with their hand on your back, like, that's fine, it's fine, I want to do it myself, I want to do it myself. So they let you go. And now you can steer a little bit and you can turn around in a corner and you can come back. Okay. You've just built all of that up and told your brain that you can do those things. And then the practice happens over and over. After school, I want to go on my bike. Before school, I want to go on my bike. At the weekends, I want to go on my bike. At some point, you're going to test and take the risk, and most stabilizers are going to come off. For me, it was in my childminder's back garden, big grassy back garden. So if I fell off, I was falling on grass rather than a pavement. And I actually do have that memory of pushing off without any stabilizers and giving that a go. A risk. I took a risk. But I did it over and over. And maybe I had a bit of a wobble and I had to put my foot down and then, kind of, I can do this, and go again. But over and over, I'm practicing that. And now I can confidently ride a bike in my childminder's back garden without stabilizers. So now when I get home, now I want to show my parents that I can do it going up and down the pavement outside the house. So I'm going to do that instead. And all the time, remember, I'm just a little girl who's learning to ride a bike. If you put a bike in front of me today, I would know how to ride it. Because over the years, I mean, that's why they say it's as easy as riding the bike, because over that time, I was practicing and I was getting more and more confident, which with each part of the process, I guess. So what do I think that teaches us? Well, I think that teaches us that confidence is evidence. You build the evidence that you can do something, you build your confidence in that thing. Even if sometimes you fall off the bike or whatever it is, you have already captured for your brain that big file that says, yeah, but look at all the other times that we didn't fall off the bike. So this is where it can feel quite infuriating when we become adults, because people jump from looking at the bike under the Christmas tree to, I can't ride the bike. And it's like, yeah, of course you fucking can't. You haven't stepped on it yet. So for adults, when we say, I can't confidently hike a mountain, I can't confidently go for a solo coffee on my own, I can't confidently text that guy and ask him out, right? If you don't have any of the evidence that you can even start any of those things, then no, you're not going to be confident in it and you're probably not going to give it a go. If I take hiking a mountain for an example, and I get lots of people who contact me about, I'd love to be able to do that. You absolutely can. It starts with a walk around the block. It starts with the local hill in your town. It starts with using the step machine at the gym. It starts with going into, one of these big brand outdoor shops and saying, "Hey, I've never done this before. I need hiking boots." Or following, hiking influencers and dropping them a message and saying, "Look, I've never done this before. What backpack would you say that I need?" Build that evidence, build the bits and pieces, build the blocks you need. And then before you know it, you're going for a bit of a longer walk. You're maybe joining a group walk. You're maybe joining a group hike. You're booking that weekend in the Lake District or the Peak District or whatever it is. You have to start somewhere. You have to start with the bike under the Christmas tree and take it step by step. And this goes the same for like jobs and stuff like that. People say, I remember working with an amazing girl on one of my courses who really wanted a promotion. Like she'd been like building herself up for it, but she was like, "I'm just not confident enough to ask for this promotion." And when we did some work with her on her confidence and her mindset, um, I'll never forget her texting our course group chat and saying, "You're never going to believe this. I just went and spoke to the boss and said, I really want a promotion. Like, what can we talk about?" And he was just like, "Pick the job title. Like you deserve it." Because that girl's boss could see all the evidence. He knew that she could confidently do anything she put her mind to. So why do we forget our evidence, right? Why are we able to look at all these other people and say, "Oh my God, they're so confident at this, they're so confident at that. I wish I could be." You can be. So if you fancy it, it's a journaling exercise or just a prompt or just think about it, I don't know, in the shower or what have you. Think about, first of all, one thing that you're already really good at. It could be making a trifle. I love trifle. It could be riding your bike. It could be anything. Think of something that you take for granted that you're already really good at, and then try and go back through how you built the evidence and therefore your confidence that you were good at that thing, that you could become confident at that thing. And then think about something that you'd love to be confident at and think about where you need to start. What would that evidence look like? And then let me know. I'd love to hear how you get on with it. Okay, that was one down. I don't think that went too bad. Um, I'd love to hear what else you would like me to talk about on this podcast, and I will give it a go. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time, guys.